Welcome back to Building Character, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Dungeons & Dragons. Join the Patreon for this character sheet and a whole bunch more, and like and subscribe for a healthier partner next time you play. Maybe. Today we're building Victor Freeze, a guy who ended up becoming a cryogenicist. A cryogenicist with the last name Freeze? That sounds a lot like Freeze. Hey, maybe that's why he became a cryogenicist.
Your dentist's name is Crentist. Sounds a lot like dentist.
Maybe that's why he became a dentist.
Let's start off with our goals for this build. First, we need to keep it cold. I run the AC in Minnesota in the winter, so I understand. Speaking of AC, we need to bundle up with some extra thick armor to keep the heat out. Finally, we'll get a cold gun to blast cold damage in a way that nobody else really can. Seriously though, I'm very excited after I figured out how to make all of this work. I promise you, it's so much more than just learn evocation spells. I am very, very proud of this one. For stats, we'll be using the standard point array from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want, just make sure you're keeping your multi-classing minimums in mind. Intelligence will be number 1. You're a smart cookie, like making a cookie in a muffin tin, so you get a slightly doughy center. That's smart. Constitution next. Cold spell saving throws are constitution based, so obviously you're a pretty tough guy. Wisdom after that. Medicine is a wisdom skill, and you don't want Batman sneaking up on you, so you need the good perception. Follow that up with charisma. Your icy demeanor can be quite chilling. Strength is a bit low. You're just a scientist. Any lifting ability is mechanical. We're dumping dexterity though. You don't glide on ice, you break it. Somebody had to. Mr. Freeze is a human. Tritons get cold resistance, but you can't breathe underwater, so we'll just grab the Elemental Adept feat, which will let you treat 1s as 2s when you deal damage with a cold spell, and ignore resistances to cold damage. At absolute 0, everything freezes. Bump your intelligence and wisdom with your 2 free points, take investigation for your skill of choice, and build your own background for athletics and intimidation. Yeah, that's the soldier background, but the classes we're investing in won't let us get those. Even the player's handbook has rules for customizing a background, so this isn't exactly world-shattering stuff. We'll kick things off as an artificer, letting us grab 2 skills like Arcana and Medicine. Those really are the skills you should have gotten from your background, but hey, it's all level 1 anyway. You're a magical tinkerer, letting you put a tiny magical effect in a tiny non-magical item, like a message, or an image of your comatose wife in a snow globe. That sounds bleak. Your cantrips are the really cool stuff. Ray of Frost is a ranged spell attack that deals 1d8 cold damage and slows a creature down by 10 feet per round. And Frostbite forces a constitution saving throw on a creature, dealing 1d6 cold damage and giving them disadvantage on their next weapon attack. Do whichever you're into, but shutting down Batman's mobility or taking advantage away from him as a rogue are both tasty options. For your first level spells, Absorb Elements lets you give yourself resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage as a reaction when you take that type of damage. Then add a d6 of that damage to an attack next round. There's nothing colder than using your own enemy's attacks against them. Long Strider increases your movement speed by 10 feet for an hour, blast some ice in front of you, and skate around. Talking about speed skating, folks. It's exciting stuff. Second level artificers get infusions, or should I say cold fusions? I shouldn't, that's a different thing. Armor of Magical Strength lets you add your intelligence modifier to a strength check, or avoid being knocked prone up to 6 times a day. Those charges reset at dawn. You roll a d6 to determine how many you get. If you'd rather just have some thicker defenses, Enhanced Defense adds 1 to the AC of a set of armor. It's pretty heavy steel, and your enemies just punch and throw glorified daggers. That should be all you need. Enhanced Arcane Focus adds 1 to the attack rolls with a spellcasting focus for better Rays of Frost, and you can even ignore half cover so there's no hiding from you. If you happen to be robbing museums at night, Goggles of Night will help you with that, giving you 60 feet of dark vision, probably why they're called Goggles of Night. Third level artificers can choose a specialty, and armorers get heavy armor proficiency, and you can ignore the strength requirement, as well as choose a special armor model. Infiltrator will work best for you, giving you a simple ranged weapon that uses your intelligence modifier and deals 1d6 lightning damage and an extra d6 of lightning damage per round. You're not Mr. Shock, so this is stupid and terrible. How dare I? Time to retire. It will never come together. It also makes you 5 feet faster and gets rid of disadvantage on stealth checks. Don't worry, you're still going to be terrible at them with your bad dexterity. 4th level artificers get an ability score improvement. Get that intelligence higher for better cold cantrips and lightning guns, because I'm absolute rubbish at this. I'm so sorry, this will never be fixed. 5th level armorers get an extra attack, letting you make 2 attacks instead of 1 with your action. You can only add that extra d6 of lightning damage to 1 attack per round, but that's fine. Apparently this build I was so proud of just uses cantrips. Their damage does double at this level, so 2d8 with Ray of Frost and 2d6 with Frostbite. That's better. You also can learn 2nd level spells. Enhance Ability lets you give a creature advantage on ability checks of a certain type. If you choose Strength, they double their carrying capacity. If you choose Dexterity, they don't take falling damage from heights of 20 feet or less. And if you choose Constitution, modification, they get an extra 2d6 temporary HP. Bump your suit up with whatever you need to, but the booster only lasts for an hour depending on your concentration. 6th level artificers get tool expertise, giving you expertise with all your tools to double your proficiency bonus when you use them. You've got thieves, tinkerers, smiths, and one more of your choice. I think you know what's coming: alchemists. I want to say calligraphers, but you're not Deity Freeze, you're Mr. Freeze, and a cryogenicist has to know their chemicals. You can also grab 2 more infusions. Resistant armor gives you resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, thunder, poison, force, psychic, radiant, or necrotic damage. Cold is the obvious pick for now, but we'll get more of that later. Prep yourself for bat bombs with the fire. Spell Refueling Ring lets you recover a spell slot of 3rd level or lower once per day. Get some diamonds stored up like nuts for a long winter. 7th level artificers get a Flash of Genius, letting you add your intelligence modifier to a skill check or saving throw of a creature within 30 feet of you an amount of times per day equal to your intelligence modifier. You might be super strong, but that really comes from your intelligence. Now you can rock the resistant armor instead of the armor of magical strength, no picking and choosing because you can just Flash of Genius to add to your strength checks. 8th level artificers get another ability score improvement to cap off your intelligence modifier so your ice gun works the best it possibly can. You don't have an ice gun yet. But 9th level of Artificer? That's where it all comes together, baby. Here you can grab a 3rd level spell like Elemental Weapon, letting you make a non-magical weapon magical and add a d4 of acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage for an hour depending on your concentration. Since your lightning launcher is technically not defined as a magical weapon, you can use this to make it an ice gun. An ice gun that still admittedly deals more lightning damage than cold damage. This is terrible, I'm so sorry. You also get armor modifications as an armorer, letting you infuse 2 extra items and treat your infiltrator armor as separate pieces of armor: a helmet, chest piece, weapon, boots, and gauntlet to be specific. The extra items have to be a part of that armor, so it would be great if we could grab some boots, maybe a set of gauntlets. 10th level artificers are magical item adepts, letting you tune up to 4 magical items at once, but you also get 2 more infusions, like Gauntlets of Ogre Power to set your strength at 19, no more needing to do anything else to lift stuff good, and Boots of the Winterlands to give you resistance to cold damage. You can ignore difficult terrain caused by snow or ice, and you can hang out in temperatures of negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 100 degrees Fahrenheit if you're wearing heavy clothes. It basically turns you into a Minnesotan. So boots and gauntlets are free, enhanced defense, enhanced arcane focus, both of which have bonuses of +2 now, and a spell refueling ring for another elemental weapon once per day. Those are my picks for the full Mr. Freeze suit. Now we'll jump over to get some bigger icy stuff from Wizard. If cantrips aren't going to work for you for the max frostiness at earlier levels, mix these in earlier if you want to. 1st level wizards get cantrips, and spells for cantrips mending lets you put 2 pieces of something back together or fix a crack in something with a little icy patch. Light lets you see in the dark with your bad human eyes, and message lets you whisper to a creature within 120 feet of you and they can whisper back. Batman villains having goons is always weird when you think about it. Who's signing up for "I need to turn the world into glacier so my wife can live happy" club? Do other people deal with that problem? Anyway, message lets you communicate with those goons. For your 1st level spells, Ice Knife lets you fire a ranged spell attack that deals 1d10 piercing damage and forces a dexterity saving throw on creatures within 5 feet of the original target, dealing 2d6 cold damage to those that fail. Just another way to fire an ice gun, with an icicle this time. Shield adds 5 to your AC as a reaction for a cool shield that's actually cool. Fog Cloud creates a 20-foot radius sphere of smoke that heavily obscures the area. I'm sorry about all of my jokes this episode. I know not everybody loves dry humor. Dry ice humor. Fog Cloud, baby! Featherfall prevents up to 5 falling creatures from taking falling damage so you can jump out of the rocket you sent into the stratosphere that was going to crash down on Gotham to make it a crater. Why did Mr. Freeze do that? Was Batman and Robin a bad movie? Cause Fear forces a wisdom saving throw on a creature, frightening them if they fail, or more accurately, sending a chill down their spine. Tensor's Floating Disc creates a floating disc that can hold up to 500 pounds on it, helping you carry out all the diamonds you steal. As a wizard, you also get Arcane Recovery to recover half your wizard level in spell slots on a short rest. Use some cryogenesis to help yourself get well rested. Since we're multiclassing spellcasters, check page 165 of the player's handbook to figure out how many spells you have at any given level. 2nd level wizards can choose a school. Evocation is the best for big blasts of cool. First, you get to sculpt spells, letting you choose some creatures to pass your saving throws equal to 1 plus the spell's level, and if they normally take half damage, they take no damage instead. Your mission is already going to be attracting less people than the other Gotham rogues. It's best if you don't kill your crew. For this level spell, Grease lets you turn a 10-foot radius circle into difficult terrain, forcing a dexterity saving throw on creatures inside and making them fall prone if they fail. Winter always comes after fall. Wait, ew, that sounds gross. Jump lets you triple a creature's jump distance for a minute with your strength score from your armor. This will let you jump like a polar bear. Polar bears have to be good jumpers. The sheets of ice are so far apart now. Third level wizards can learn second level spells. SNILLOC'S Snowball Swarm forces a dexterity saving throw on creatures in a 5-foot radius, dealing 3d6 cold damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. This should help you deal with Batman and his son Bird Boy. Hold Person forces a wisdom saving throw on a creature, paralyzing them if they fail, letting your crew get some critical hits in while they're frozen solid. Fourth level wizards get an ability score improvement or a feat. Let's improve your best cantrip with the Sharpshooter feat. Your best cantrip is your gun, by the way. That lets you fire at max range without disadvantage. You can ignore all but full cover and take a -5 penalty to your attack roll to add 10 to the damage roll. It doesn't specify what type of damage it is. So I think if you've got elemental weapon on your lightning launcher, you could say it's cold. Maybe it's supposed to be lightning. It's not really specific. Also, Elemental Adept lets you reroll 1s and 2s on damage die from spells. I would argue Elemental Weapon is what's adding the damage to the weapon, though it is the weapon's damage. There's some gray area here. I wasn't able to find a definitive answer on whether or not Elemental Adept works with Elemental Weapon. Anyway, for this level spell, Knock lets you freeze a lock to break it off of its hinge, but it makes a very loud noise. It's not exactly subtle, but neither are you. Maximilian's Earthen Grasp makes a Earthen Hand that forces a strength saving throw on a creature, dealing 2d6 bludgeoning damage if they fail and restraining them for the spell's duration. It's supposed to be Earth, just reflavor it to be Ice, it's fine. 5th level wizards can learn 3rd level spells. Sleet Storm creates a 20-foot tall, 40-foot radius cylinder of sleet that forces dexterity saving throws on creatures inside, knocking them prone if they fail, and forcing a constitution saving throw on concentrating casters inside. So you'll be the only one doing anything fancy. Protection from energy gives a creature resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage for an hour depending on your concentration. Mix that with all of your other infusion resistances and you can resist 3 types of damage permanently. You probably won't need that since most of the things that you're dealing with don't have more than 1 type of elemental damage, but if you're fighting another evocation wizard, this could be nice. Speaking of evocation wizard, 6th level evocation wizards get potent cantrip. So if a creature passes the saving throw on one of your cantrips, they still take half damage. That means your frostbite will deal half of 3d6 cold damage automatically, though your freezy gun will still be very consistent anyway. Guns are always a very good cantrip. For this level spell, counterspell shuts down spells of 3rd level or lower automatically, and higher level spells within an intelligence check of 10 plus that spell's level. I hope to God you don't need to freeze 5 meteor swarms out of the sky, but you could, you have that power. Slow forces a wisdom saving throw on creatures in a 40-foot cube, halving their speed, cutting their AC by 2, giving them disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. They can't make reactions and only 1 action or bonus action on their turn. That's if they fail. If they succeed, they don't get that. You also get to roll a d20 if they try to cast a spell when they fail. If you roll an 11 or higher, the spell comes out next turn. It's a whole area to mess up Batman, Robin, Batgirl, Gordon, Guy, and Paul Hollywood. This is the Batman Food Network crossover episode where Mr. Freeze freezes all the food and makes it lose its flavor. 7th level wizards can learn 4th level spells. Fire Shield is a shield from fire and a shield made of fire. If you choose a cold shield, you have immunity to cold damage and resistance to fire damage, and any creature that hits you with a melee attack takes 2d8 cold damage. Batman thinks he's so cool with Flurry of Blows, but Flurry of Blows means he's taking 8d8 cold damage on 1 turn. Is that cool? I mean, it's literally cool, but it's not what you want if you're Batman. If you would rather just make a shield out of fire, it's the exact opposite, but that's not in character and won't get your Elemental Adept bonus. Elemental Bane forces a Constitution saving throw on a creature. Failing that, they take an extra 2d6 of acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage the first time they would take that damage per turn. Maybe I should just say cold for all of these. You shouldn't really be using anything else. We're almost done though. I should have started doing that earlier. 8th level wizards get another ability score improvement or feat. The Fighting Initiate feat lets you pick a fighting style like archery, which will let you add 2 to the attack rolls with your ranged weapons. Since you can cast 7th level spells now, an elemental weapon would get +3 to the attack rolls, which is a total of +5, so the sharpshooter penalty is pretty much gone. And that's also 6d4 cold damage per round with extra attack. It's finally dealing more cold damage than lightning damage. I'm so proud of myself. This really is a perfect build. For this level spell, Tulok's Resilient Sphere puts a large or smaller creature into an invincible sphere that nothing else can get out of. Wait, am I building Mei from Overwatch? Oh god, I think I built Mei from Overwatch. Too late now. Let that sunk cost fallacy carry you through to the end of the video. Ice Storm forces a dexterity saving throw on creatures in a 20-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder, dealing 2d8 bludgeoning damage and 4d6 cold damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. You know, if you're ready to start a blizzard. That's what May says when her ult is ready. 9th level wizards can learn 5th level spells. Cone of Cold forces a constitution saving throw on creatures in a 60-foot cone, dealing 8d8 cold damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. Turn that regulator down and kill some dinosaurs with the Ice Age. Hold monster is like hold person without the humanoid restriction, so it's actually useful on dinosaurs. I don't know what your DM is going to be throwing at you. I'm going to cap this off with the 11th level of Artificer, giving you spell storing item, letting you put a spell of 1st or 2nd level into a spell casting focus or simple or martial weapon. It has to take 1 action to cast and be from the Artificer list, so how about Longstrider to spray the ice in front of you and run faster? May can't do that, but she should be able to do that. Now that we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable this build is. First, you've got that cold damage, ignoring resistances, using sharpshooter, elemental weapon, extra attack, cone of cold. You can just do whatever you want. You're also very thick with 20 base AC, resistance to a bunch of elements, and a concentration-free shield that hurts people when you get hit with a melee attack. Finally, you're also very strong, with athletics and gauntlets of ogre power, letting you lift almost as well as your luchador buddy. For weaknesses, some things are immune to cold damage. That's an issue for you. You also have way too many concentration spells and only can have 1 up at a time. Finally, if people can hurt you, you can't take a lot of hits. Somewhere around 130 HP, that's actually not all that bad. Dexterity saves. You're bad at dexterity saves. Hey, I had to stretch. If you haven't figured it out, mixing Artificer and Wizard is very good. I don't know what else to tell you. Get cold, lock your enemies down, and prepare for a long winter. It would just be nice if you didn't have to stay inside for a full year. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe for more. We make 2 videos every week. Join the Patreon for this sheet and a whole bunch more, and sub to Tulok and Mango for more Tulok fun.